colleagues and participants, in the following presentation I would like to give an overview on the Hungarian family policy responses to demographic challenges. Looking at the world's total population, the proportion of Europeans has been steadily declining. While in 1960, 20% of the world's population was European, today it barely reaches 10%, and by 2070, it's expected to be a mere 6%. Unfortunately, this trend also has an impact on global GDP also, because while in 2004, the European Union accounted for 28% of global GDP, in 2017, it was only 16%, which was further reduced by the Brexit. So it can be seen that the adverse effect of population decline reflects in economic levels also, as the European Union is playing an ever smaller role in an increasingly competitive global economy. So Europe's nickname, the Old Continent, is real to its age composition also, as the rate of older age groups are high. If we compare the proportions of younger and older people in Europe, it is clear that the demographic outlook for Europe as a whole is largely negative. Furthermore, let's see the response to Europe's population decline. In the last decade, the solution was the supporting of large-scale migration. In fact, not since the Great Migration has such a mass of immigrants from different cultural backgrounds arrived in the region as they did in the last decade. This will have a major impact on Europe's population. After all, it means that Europe has entered a new phase of migration in the modern age. And these processes have a major impact on the composition of European society. In line with this tendency, it's worth examining and comparing the fertility of indigenous mothers and those who are born outside a given country. As a result, it can be seen that the total fertility rate is higher among women of foreign nationality than among native women. If we would like to overview the family policy responses, we should see that most of the European countries are facing the same family policy challenges. Here we can mention the breakdown of the family institution and the decline in the birth rate and aging population. It shall be seen that European welfare systems will face serious sustainability problems. Some countries hope that immigrants can resolve the problem, while others are putting their forces in family policies to support families and encourage childbearing. Hungary is in favor of the latter, since the preservation and maintenance of both European and national cultures should be of primary importance, which could also result in the handing down of cultures, mindsets, languages, and customs of the European nation to future generations. Therefore, Hungary has chosen a longer, more complex, and more difficult alternative, that is to improve the demographic situation based on family policy incentives. Let's take a look at the family-friendly policy from 2010 to 2023. Now move to key elements of the family-friendly policy launched in 2010. The first major characteristics are the Christian conservative ideological worldview that gives priority to traditional communities and the consideration of children and families as a resource and a public good as a private matter, which is also the most important public matter. The Family Protection Action Plan was adopted in 2019, and it can now be considered a Hungarian, so a phenomenon that is unique to Hungary. The main features, objectives, and areas of family policy in Hungary can be summarized in 10 points. In the following minutes, I will introduce these 10 points. The first point is the public financing of part of the burden of raising children through family benefits and child welfare measures. It includes the provision of free textbooks, the introduction of daily physical education and healthy school meals that are free of charge for many families. Here it is important to mention the so-called baby bond, which is a fixed amount of money, currently 42,000 Hungarian forints. It is deposited by the state as a startup grant for the child to be supplemented with additional payments by parents, grandparents, relatives, and friends. It is an interest-bearing grant that yields a 3% return on top of inflation plus a 10% public subsidy. The earliest the child can draw the amount is on reaching the age of 18. The system of childcare benefits is very complex in Hungary, and it consists of 5 elements, which are as follows. Maternity allowance, a one-time benefit which will be paid for the mother if she has had at least 4 medical visits during her pregnancy. Infant care allowance, which is the so-called CHED acronym in Hungarian, it is an insurance-linked benefit, and its amount is 100% of the mother's previous salary since 2021 for the duration of maternity leave, 168 days. It means pregnant women are not at a financial disadvantage compared to other workers. The childcare allowance is also a benefit linked to social insurance and payable up to the age of 2. Its rate is 70% of the previous salary. Additional childcare allowance, it is a benefit payable for all children until the age of 3, but therefore its amount is much lower. Child raising allowance, the benefit for large families with full-time parents, available to parents or guardians with 3 or more children. It has the same amount as of GYES, and this amount is much lower. Within the framework of the element of reconciling work and family life, the GYED Extra was established 2014. It means that mothers who work full-time can receive benefits at the same time. As a result, the employment rate of mothers with children under 3 has increased by 40%. It also includes a family-type taxation and the fact that sick pay has been extended to both parents. It also covers the ensuring of workplace protection for parents with young children, which can create opportunities to reconcile work and family life. It encouraged childbearing and work at the same time, have included tax benefits for employers and improvements in nursery and kindergarten care. Family supporting, which is linked to work, can also ensure the existential stability of families. In addition, a car purchase subsidy of up to 2.5 million Hungarian forints was opened in 2019 for large families, so with at least 3 children, which can be used to purchase vehicles with at least 7 seats. In this regard, the family home creation allowance shall be mentioned, which was launched in 2014. It has 2 main objectives, a demographic objective and an economic objective. Within demographic objective, it tries to increase the propensity to have children by supporting families to create a home, and on the other hand, with the economic objective, it can boost the economy by boosting the construction industry and the real estate market. The subsidy amount for building or buying a new home is up to 10 million Hungarian forints if a couple commits to having 3 or more children. In addition, the baby grant is also available with 10 million forints as an interest-free discretionary loan to support young married couples having children. With regard to baby grant loan, it shall be mentioned that loan repayments are suspended for 3 years and the loan becomes interest-free when the first child is born, and a third of the amount of the loan is waived on the birth of the second child. In the end, if a third child is born, the outstanding part of the loan is waived. The system also targets young Hungarians living beyond the borders. Measures include the cross-border umbilical cord program, which supports Hungarian families living beyond the border and enables the Hungarian state to pay maternity allowance for every baby with a Hungarian birth certificate or Hungarian identity card. The baby bond is also available for Hungarian families living abroad. These programs emphasize that every Hungarian child is an asset wherever they are born. The program thinks across generations while strengthening intergenerational cooperation. For example, the establishment of grandmother's pension, known as a Woman 40, in 2011 can be mentioned here. According to the Woman 40, women can retire with a full pension without any deduction after 40 years of employment, regardless of their actual age. We can also mention that the introduction of the grandparent childcare allowance GED in 2020. In this case, the amount of the subsidy is 70% of the grandparent's income, and the relevant period is until the child reaches the age of 2. However, it has requirements, as the grandparent must have been insured for at least 1 year before the grandchild's birth. Both parents must be gainfully employed, and the child must be cared for in the parent's household. The family type tax system was also introduced, which incorporates that tax rate has been reduced according to the number of children born in the family. Since 2020, in Hungary alone, mothers of 4 or more children have been fully exempt from the payment of personal income tax. The fact that a benefit is a legal right does not exempt parents from their basic parental responsibilities. To ensure this payment of the family allowance, it is conditioned on the child's schooling and over the age of 3 and compulsory kindergarten attendance. And last but not least, the so-called graduate jet was introduced for the preventing that childbearing should be postponed or delayed. It allows mothers to be entitled to GED if they have had at least 2 active semesters of full-time study in a Hungarian higher education institution in the 2 years preceding the child's birth. After the overview on Family Policy Action Plan, I would like to introduce some results. Hungarian family policy over the past 12 years has already produced some significant results. It can be seen that Hungary has the highest increase in Europe in terms of childbearing and relationship stability. On the one hand, the fertility rate, which is an indicator of the desire to have children, has increased by 27%, while the number of marriages has doubled and the number of divorces and abortions have fallen by 40% in more than a decade. In Hungary, the number of children born in wedlock has been increasing since 2015. Now we can see that an average of 7 out of 10 children being born in wedlock, unlike before. The Demographic Action Plan aims to raise the country's fertility rate from 1.5 to 2.1 by 2030. All these data confirm the effectiveness and justification of comprehensive family-friendly measures, and the propensity to have children can be significantly improved. Moreover, it's very important to encourage family-oriented values and support family-friendly workplaces. The resources devoted to families should be seen as an investment rather than as an expense, since the increase in the number of births has an impact on the age composition of society and its reproductive figures. I'm confident that in the longer term, these investments will finally pay off. As a closing sentence, I would like to cite the President of Hungary, as families, like love, do not and cannot have an alternative. Thank you very much for your attention.